Kira, 1-5 Smackaroni, 1-6 Markomedes, 19 Ragnarocker, 2 Fillmore Payne, 2-17 Racer Rex, 3-14 how do you say that? Valrain, 35 Ben Hurt, 3-50 Rage, 4-11 Trivial Pursuit, 5 Cutter, 5-5-6 Shenanigans, 7-7-5 Vanessa, 8-3-1 Twinkle Beef, 8-5 Ice Hurt, 88 Up and Adam, 92 Ricky Ricochet.
I'm going to guess Val Raven, but I bet our chat will know if we're mispronouncing it.
Huh?
Said I bet the chat will know if we're mispronouncing it.
I'm okay with it. This isn't a real game. This is not real sports. No real names. Looks like we have Senior Wiener lining up as jammer for Toronto. With Ice gaining lead jammer status for Chicago. Senior Wiener still working their way through the pack at this moment. Ice coming up on their first scoring pass. Some nice recycling going on from Chicago with Ice starting to fight up in the front and getting past their full scoring pass. Looks like 5-5-5 and 5-5-6 from Chicago reporting to the box for a forearm. Ice on their third scoring pass at the moment. Akira reporting to the box for a penalty. Calling it off with Toronto scoring no points during that jam. Chicago scoring 11 points. We end that jam. Oh, nope. Toronto scored 3 points during that jam. Toronto sitting at 3 points. Chicago sitting at 11.
I was wondering if Ice Heart was maybe going to try to clear the box out on that one, but it looks like Toronto will be starting this next jam with a 4-2 pack advantage. So we've got Ben Hurt jamming in the blue with Stevie jamming for, I'm sorry, that is Ben Hurt jamming for Chicago, Stevie jamming for Toronto.
It's all the blue on the track.
A lot of blue. And it looks like Stevie did get sucked back into the pack, but they have been assessed lead jammer. Ben Hurt out in front of them now. We'll see if they try to run this. All right, so Stevie with lead, but that is going to be a full 4-point scoring pass for Ben Hurt. Stevie trying to peel off those Chicago blockers up at the top. That is going to be another 4-point pass for Chicago. We are on 12 points now scored by Ben Hurt going into their 4th scoring pass. Valiant effort by Stevie, who opts to cut their losses and calls that jam.
So do you have any money down on how many jams D-Ray's actually going to call off? I'm going single digits.
I'll follow your lead.
Okay.
I think the Roller Derby Sports Betting Association would get me in trouble. All right, we've got Smackaroni now up against Dijon.
Bosch getting a nice hip check on Smackaroni. With Dijon fighting in the front. That's how I'm going to say it for the rest of the time. Deal with it.
Excellent. Oh, and your lead jammer is going to be Dijon.
Dijon!
Smackaroni also out on their initial pass.
Ending that jam with 0-0 score. Toronto sits at 7 points. Chicago sits at 24. We have 25 minutes left in this half.
This score update brought to you by the Krusty Krab. That's the Krusty Krab. Come and give us your money.
That's fine.
All right, so Jam 4, and that is a quick lead grabbed by Ragnarocker of Chicago. And I believe Dijon has actually been sent to the box on a penalty. So this is a power jam for Chicago. 4 points now on the board from Ragnarocker.
Ragnarocker pushing their way through the pack. Dijon fighting in the back. Still has the jammer coming freshly out of the penalty box. It's just weight. It's pushing weight for both the jammers of Toronto and the blockers for Toronto as well. Prime example of Newton's Law in action.
It has been a long weekend for these skaters, for sure. Ooh, some nice work by Ragnarocker there on the outside of turn 2. It's going to be another 4 points going to Chicago. And that is a star pass now on the Toronto side. Star goes to the Dictator. Ragnarocker opting to call off that jam. That is going to be another 4 points to Chicago. So that is a 16-0 jam. Going to put our score now at 40 points, Bruise Brothers. 7 points to Toronto men's. Just over 23 and a half minutes left in this half.
Looks like we have D-Ray jamming for Toronto with Ice Hertz jamming for Chicago. Both packs fairly tight and together. Ice making some momentum up front and scoring lead jammer status, but still battling a blocker from Toronto. D-Ray hot on the trail. Getting some U-Stars actions with the moving pack. Calling out that jam. Ice picks up no points, where Toronto picks up no points. Chicago ends that jam sitting at 44. Toronto sitting at 7.
Lighting up on the Derby Beast jammer line, we've got Ben Hertz taking the star against Senior Wiener. Both our jammers out in front, but I believe lead is going to Senior Wiener.
Some jammer on jammer action. Toronto doing their best to keep a goat in the back so that Senior Wiener could score some points. But Ben Hertz takes advantage of that and gets out of the pack first with Senior Wiener hot on the trail. Ben Hertz being taken to the back of the pack with being hit out. Senior Wiener fighting their way through the front.
Some nice one-on-one there by the Chicago pivot up top.
Calling that off, Chicago scores 8 points during that, leading them to have a score of 52 at the end of that jam. Toronto ends that with 8 points as well, leaving them at 15. Looks like we have Smackaroni from Chicago jamming with Stevie from Toronto. Smackaroni gaining lead jammer status with a nice inside scoop-a-boop.
Chicago blocking, really doing a nice job shutting down those sidelines. Really giving Stevie a run for their money.
Looks like we got Twinkle Beef reporting the box for a track cut. I believe that the jammer Stevie for Toronto is still battling for their first initial pass, while Smackaroni is on their at least second pass. Picking up 4 more points for an 8-point jam thus far. Right now the box has 1 blocker, it looks like, from Toronto with Twinkle Beef in for Chicago. Smackaroni takes advantage of the chaos and gets past along with Stevie as well. Smackaroni calling her off before Stevie has a chance to score any points. We end that jam with Smackaroni picking up 12 points for Chicago, setting them up for a score of 64 for this jam, and Toronto at 15.
Looks like Chicago is going to be starting with a 4-2 blocker advantage. 2 blockers from Toronto in that CDM penalty box. We've got a fast pack here on the start. Lead jammer is going to go to Ragnarocker of Chicago. D-Ray, however, wearing the star for Toronto, close behind. So Ragnarocker is going to play it safe, call off that jam, so that's going to be 0-0 on that one.
So my squirrel brain keeps on being distracted by somebody's sequence top that they have on. Talking about you, Adam Splitter.
Some excellent fashions here at Queenie Park this weekend.
D-Ray lining up for Toronto, with Ice Hurt lining up for his jammer for Chicago. With some nice work from the Chicago Fillmore Payne, breaking up links to allow their jammer to get past, picking up lead jammer status for Ice Hurt. Getting assessed for what looks like to be a forearm. Fillmore Heights reports to the box, while Ice Hurts calls it off before D-Ray has a chance to pick it at any points.
Score now sitting at 68 points. Chicago 15 points going to Toronto. Just over 17 minutes left in the half. This score update brought to you by the Tyrell Corporation. More human than human.
Ben Hurt being jammer for Chicago, with Dijon jamming for Toronto. Dijon picking up lead jammer status while Ben Hurts is fighting in the back of the pack. Sleep being assessed for a forearm. And heading to the box with two Chicago blockers in the box with Sleep as well. We end that jam with Toronto picking up 4 points, leading them to a score of 19 at the end of that jam. Chicago picking up 0 points and ending the jam at 68. Dijon. Their arch rival has to be called Grey Poupon. They're the better Dijon.
All right, now we've got Smackaroni jamming against Stevie here in Jam 11. Toronto forcing smack out on the outside line, going for the big drawback, and lead jammer is going to go to Stevie. Stevie now coming in on a scoring pass. Smackaroni also out on their initial. So Stevie is going to grab what they can and call that jam. So that is going to be one more point assessed to Toronto.
With the box clear, we have Senior Wiener jamming for Toronto with Ragnarocker jamming for Chicago. Ragnarocker picking up lead jammer status after battling sleep in the front of the pack. Senior Wiener still fighting their way through the back of the pack. It looks like we have a power jam going on for Toronto with Ragnarocker being assessed for a penalty.
I think that might have been a forearm.
I didn't quite see the signs. Senior Wiener finally getting past their initial pass of the pack. Trying to battle the Chicago wall of beef going on.
Yeah, Toronto doing their best to create some chaos in that pack for Senior Wiener. They do, and that is going to be another 4 points for Toronto.
Ragnarocker back in play and fighting their way through the whole pack and having a no pass, no penalty on that. I always feel bad for everybody because I am a fat derby player and a 2-minute jam is nightmare fuel.
Don't worry, it is for the jammers too.
Little scoot on the outside line. Senior Wiener gets past the pack. Ragnarocker battling their way through the middle. After a 2-minute jam, it looks like Toronto picks up 16 points and Chicago picks up 7. Toronto sits at 36 with Chicago sitting at 75. We have 12 minutes left in this period.
I think Toronto really needed that big jam at this point in the game. They're staying alive.
We're all trying.
We're just doing our best.
D-Ray jamming for Toronto with Ice Hurt jamming for Chicago. Both are locked in a battle of the pack with some nice 3-walls going on.
Both our jammers just trying to get that pack moving.
Up, D-Ray got lead jammer status, which means it's probably going to be a 2-minute jam.
We shall see.
See, nobody does it by choice except for D-Ray. We get it. You're endurance queen. Ice Hurt picking up 4 points with a scoring pass. D-Ray on his first scoring pass, though. Some hops and scoots all over the place by D-Ray, getting past their first scoring pass.
All right, we've got one Toronto blocker in the box now, so we may see Toronto running this jam, just trying to clear that box out for themselves.
Got some slippage going on. Is it moist out there?
I blame Sport Court. I always blame Sport Court.
It could be the 100-degree weather plus the 99.999% humidity.
Welcome to the Midwest, everyone. So we are going to end that jam with 12 points scored by both teams. So that's going to put our score at 48 Toronto, 90 Chicago Bruise Brothers. A little under 11 minutes left in the half. This score update brought to you by Noah's Arcade. We've got 2 of every game. So we've got Ben Hurt now jamming against Dijon. Ben Hurt battling it up at the top of turn 1. They are going to take lead jammer. Oh, and that is going to be a forearm penalty assessed to Ben Hurt. So we've got a power jam Toronto. And this will be another 2-minute jam.
Oh. We're going for an apex jump, but we ended up having both of our skates on the inside.
All right, so the CBM penalty box is clear. We've got both our jammers battling a near standstill over in the second straightaway. And we are going to go ahead and drag those jammers all the way back.
Both jammers having difficulties playing against these strong 3 walls by both teams.
Some great blocking so far this game.
A lot of recycling. It's nice. It's nice. Some jammer on jammer action in the back.
A little pushy shovey. Bosch pulled back into the turn once again. Meanwhile, Ben Hurt stuck in that one-on-one, just trying to find some traction there.
Feel more pain just controlling that inside line against the Toronto jammer.
So that, looks like that is going to be 4 points scored on that jam by Toronto. That was a lot of work in 2 minutes.
And we got a timeout being called by Toronto. And I think that's sponsored, isn't it?
I believe that is sponsored by Toy Division, St. Louis's very own queer-friendly, all-inclusive vintage toy store. Check out Toy Division on their socials on Facebook or Instagram. Remember, Toy Division buys and sells vintage toys. You got that box in your mom's basement just gathering dust? Toy Division will pay cash for those Ninja Turtles. Hit them up on their socials or toydivisionstl.com.
It sounds like you have a vested interest in this.
I have a vested interest in we paid some money to put our name on the timeout. Ask about our world-famous Beanie Baby blind bags. That is a real thing we do. They're actually kind of popular.
I mean, millennial nostalgia is definitely a gold mine.
Very that.
Mm-mm. Welcome to the movies of the last 5 years.
We're old. Buy your old stuff back.
Mommy threw it out.
You would be surprised. All right, so we've got Jam 15 underway. Smackaroni jamming against Stevie. We've got that pack run up past turn 2. And lead is going to go to Smackaroni.
So yesterday I got some smack for talking smack about Chicago pizza. I regret nothing.
I'm really happy for you.
Hey, if you have to use utensils to eat a pizza, it's not pizza. Sorry. I said it.
If you want to start a fight in St. Louis, just ask people how they feel about St. Louis style pizza.
Your pizza's equivalent to Passover torture, not having risen bread. Matzah pizza.
Uh-huh. It's correct and delicious.
Okay.
Okay, back to the Derby. We are on a third scoring pass now for Smackaroni. And we do have Stevie in the penalty box, so we are in a power jam now for Chicago. Smackaroni peeling off that last Toronto blocker at the top of the pack. That's going to be scoring pass number 4 for Chicago. Stevie, meanwhile, has been released from the penalty box. And Smackaroni runs down that jam to its natural conclusion. So that is going to be a 20-point jam for Chicago. 4 points scored by Toronto in that jam. So that is going to put our score now at 113 Chicago, 56 Toronto. This score update brought to you by Camp Krusty. Welcome to Camp Krusty. I'll see you in a few weeks.
D-Ray jamming for Toronto with Ragnarocker jamming for Chicago. D-Ray trying to do some side-to-side work and a little toe stoppage action to get past and pick up lead jammer status with Ragnarocker right on his tail.
That was a nice little spin there by D-Ray. And our box is clear, but we know Toronto trying to make some points here. So it looks like D-Ray, after a pretty nice apex hop, is going to run this jam.
It wasn't even a jump. It was a little skip with the twirl.
A little hippity hop. Ooh, and that was real close on that line there, but that is going to be a no pass, no penalty for another scoring pass for D-Ray. Ragnarocker running into a little bit of trouble there with the Toronto tripod.
And D-Ray showing us why you should do endurance more during your practices. Just running through and doing a little toe work on the lines, getting through.
Yeah, doing a really nice job of just holding space on that outside line, kind of fighting back that push out. Ooh, and that is going to be another full scoring pass for Toronto. D-Ray calls off that jam, so that is going to be 19 points, looks like, to Toronto on that jam, 4 points to Chicago. We are going to be starting this next one with Chicago's pivot in the box. Oop, and I have some word from the chat. It is Val Raven. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
Ice picking up lead jammer status with the senior wiener on the trail. Ice calling it off before senior wiener has a chance to pick any points up. Ice scoring 3. That brings up Chicago to 120 with Toronto sitting at 75. We have 3 minutes left in this half.
It's been a quick first half. I do want to give a really quick shout out to Sacred. Let's just make sure I give them a little love this weekend. So they have been the exclusive on-site skate shop for iHod. They are proudly women and LGBTQIA plus owned. The shop champions a judgment-free atmosphere. So we've got Ben Hurt now jamming for Chicago. Dijon with the star for Toronto.
Dijon.
Ben Hurt going for that inside apex. Gets a little tripped up, forced to reset in the back. And, oh, it looks like we've got Dijon sent to the box on a penalty. So this is a power jam now in favor of Chicago.
Dijon back in action, trying to fight their way through, but being assessed for a track cut, it looks like. Looks like it's a power jam for Chicago, and they go ahead and call it off so that they could take advantage of it. Chicago picks up 0 points during that jam along with Toronto. Toronto sits at 75 points, and Chicago sits at 120 with a minute and 30 seconds left in this half.
That was a nice shadow crush by, I think, Up and Adam in that last jam. Really smart blocking there by Chicago.
Smackaroni making lead jammer status with pushing through the pack. Some strong hits with some backwards blocking going on.
Love getting a little help from those blockers. Going for a little bit of a ride.
Doing some nice toe stop action on the inside line. Smackaroni picks up another 4 points. Dijon back in action and engaging with the pack. Smackaroni doing a little jump to get past the chaos. Dijon taking advantage of one of the Chicago blockers going to the box for a low block from what I thought I heard. Dijon gets past their initial pass and is on their scoring pass.
So Dijon on the scoring pass, peeling Chicago blockers off at the top of the pack. They are through, so that's going to be 4 points now going to Toronto. Meanwhile, Smack's working on his 4th scoring pass.
Does little butterfly taps to call it off. Bee, 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 I can fly.
And looks like he did manage to get those points, so that is going to be a 16-4 jam in favor of Chicago. And we are at halftime. Score now 136 Chicago Bruise Brothers, 79 Toronto Men's Roller Derby. We will be back in about 14 and a half minutes. And welcome back to fabulous Queenie Park. We are in the second half of Game 10, this iHod tournament. Right now, we've got 136 points on the board for Chicago, 79 Toronto, and we are starting off this half with Stevie jamming against Ice Hurt.
So much hitting and falling going on. Is this sport violent? Ice picking up lead jammer status. With Stevie still trying to fight their way through the pack.
He's digging in, peeling off blockers up at the top, and they are out star and hand on their initial pass. Meanwhile, Ice through on a scoring pass. And looks like Ice is going to try to run this jam.
Ice taken back to the back of the pack by Bosch. Sleet providing some nice coverage to stop the jammer, but they slide past them. Ice getting through and picking up 4 more points during that scoring pass. While Stevie doing a little bit of tiptoe action to get past the Chicago blockers after a nice fight. Ice calling it off with them picking up 8 points during that jam. 10 points, excuse me. Toronto picking up 4 points. Chicago sits at 146 with Toronto sitting at 83.
All right, we've got our jammers hanging out on the top pivot line here at the start of this next jam. Senior Wiener donning the star for Toronto. Ben Hurt jamming for Chicago. Toronto jamming. Oh, Toronto blocking, goes for that that shadow crush, and it works. That is a track cut to Ben Hurt. Power jam now with Senior Wiener in the lead.
Senior Wiener giving some nice direction for his blockers to create a nice lane for him. Calling it off after getting pushed to the inside. They start the next jam on a power jam scenario. Senior Wiener picks up 4 points, leading them to a score of 87 with Chicago. 8 points, excuse me. Toronto sitting at 91. Chicago sitting at 146. We have 26 minutes remaining this half, with Ben Hurt still in the box as a jammer. Looks like there's going to be an official timeout.
Maybe a little confusion about fielding blockers there. That is going to be a Toy Division team timeout. I do want to take a second and give some love to Tower Grove Pride. Tower Grove Pride is a community-powered independent pride festival coming up on September 27th and 28th in St. Louis, Missouri. Tower Grove Pride is a community-powered independent pride fest. We are LGBTQ plus centered with a broad mission to support and promote social justice for every disadvantaged, oppressed, or undervalued community. Located in Tower Grove Park along Main Drive from Center Cross to Grand Boulevard.
It's an official review, so it's covered by Urban Apothecary.
Timeout?
It's an official timeout. Yeah, it's official timeout.
And we want to go also give a shout out to Urban Apothecary. If you are at the venue this weekend, you can pick up Urban Apothecary products from A. Prince Massage and Wellness. Book now with A. Prince Massage and Wellness, offering massage sessions and walk-up services, including 15 and 30-minute massage sessions.
Here's the list. Here's the Urban Apothecary. Here's
Urban Apothecary offers skater-made wellness products like gummies for focus, rest, and sleep, topical pain relievers, and bath soaks. And you can find all their products online at urbanapothecary.shop.
I'm glad that's you saying that word instead of me, so I don't get tongue-tied the entire time.
Score now, for those of you watching at home, is 146 Chicago, 91 Toronto. Just under 27 minutes left in the half. This score update brought to you by the Vermilion Minotaur, conveniently located in the town of Hawks Face, just through your nearest dimensional portal. Come check out their world-famous Rooster's Feet and 2-for-1 Rainbow Bowl happy hours.
How do you say that collectively? Ben Hurt's in a blocker for Toronto in the CVM penalty box. Collectum Sports is CVM and is the only authorized dealer of M Sportswear Derby products, the fastest growing brand in Derby apparel with a commitment to quality and performance. MS Sportswear offers innovative designs that keep pace with the dynamic nature of roller derby. Contact Collective Sports today for new team gear and experience the best in comfort and style on the track.
And it looks like we are still in an official timeout. I don't believe it's gone to an official review. We will keep you posted if we learn more. I'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to Griever, our on-site tattoo artist this weekend. Griever is located up on the balcony by the check-in spot with first come, first serve sign-ups. $75 each, black ink only, arms and legs only. They have got a flash sheet available on GK social media or the event page. And you can catch them guest tattooing at Dream House in town on the 24th and 25th. Email grieverfarts@gmail.com for appointments.
And if you're looking for any information about any vendors or sponsors this weekend for iHod Part 3, you could look them all up on the link tree for iHod. That's linktr.ee/iHod.
I'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to one of our sponsors for the weekend, Derby Beast. Searching for the perfect jersey that fits like a dream, can be pulled, stretched, and won't snag? Derby Beast has you covered, literally. Crafted from durable, quick-dry, 260 GSM polyester elastic blend that wicks moisture and resists snags, all while offering the stretch you need to move freely on the track. That's Derby Beast.
We're definitely taking advantage of this official timeout so that all the people who paid money to be shout out are being shout out.
Heck yeah. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to Odd Way Out, another one of our vendors this weekend. Odd Way Out is a queer-owned small business by our very own Soup Beans.
Yay!
Specializing in handmade accessories to get your weird on. Another one of our on-site vendors this weekend is Curse Creations. Curse specializes in custom jam straps built to lock in and boost performance. This queer/trans/skater-owned small business is run by your friendly neighborhood sewist, scientist, and all-around artificer. Visit the booth to get your skates geared for battle, and while you're there, grab some buttons, stickers, bandanas, or other trinkets. Curse Creations. It's not multitasking, it's multi-classing.
Getting back into action, it looks like.
The stoppage was for expelling white 350 here in that last jam. They would say that it was an egregious conflict that they raised to the
All right, we are back. A little update on that game stoppage. Looks like there was a request for an egregious contact penalty on one of the white skaters. So it looks like that skater was ejected from the game. So game is back on now. We've got D-Raid with lead jammer status jamming against Ben Hurt. D-Ray already on a scoring pass. Already
Looks
on their
like-
second scoring pass.
Looks like the CVM penalty box is cleared out. Everybody's back in action. D-Ray taking advantage of their endurance by keeping on the jam, allowing the Ben Hurts to fight through the back pack again. Chicago blocker 556 looking like they're reporting to the CVM penalty box. As well as Bosch from Toronto. D-Ray picking up another 4 points during their scoring pass. Ben Hurt still fighting through. I don't I believe that they're on scoring pass. D-Ray getting hit out and calling it off. We end that jam with Toronto picking up 16 points, Chicago picking up 4 points. Toronto currently sits at 107, with Chicago sitting at 150. We have 24 minutes remaining in this half. Jammers lining up on the Derby Beast jam line.
We've got Smackaroni now jamming for Chicago. Dijon with the star for Toronto. Smackaroni working up the top of the pack. They do get through for lead jammer. Dijon fighting up to the top, trying to find a little bit of daylight. The Chicago blockers doing a nice job of getting 2 butts on that jammer.
Smackaroni taking advantage of the open lane in the inside line. Dijon still fighting. But it looks like we had a successful star pass with Bosch. Bosch makes their way through the pack on their on their initial pass.
Smackaroni now on their 3rd scoring pass through for another 4 points. They've been having some success this jam, so it looks like they are going to run it long.
Bosch doing a little jump to get out of the way of the incoming blocker. Smackaroni calling it off before Bosch has another attempt to score any points.
Some smart clock management by Chicago. Trying to run that clock down while they've got that lead built up.
Toronto sits at 111, while Chicago sits at 166 with 22 minutes remaining in this half.
And we've got Ragnarocker now with the lead jammer status for Chicago. Found some daylight pretty quickly on that inside line. Stevie jamming for Toronto. Just trying to work through that Chicago tripod.
Sleep reporting the box as a pivot for Toronto. The CVM penalty box. Ragnarocker getting through with another scoring pass. Or their first scoring pass, right? Wait, 1337, Akira being assessed for a forearm. Stevie still trying to fight their way through their initial pass. Ragnarocker taking advantage of the bulk and pushing aside one of the Toronto blockers to open up a lane on the inside. I wonder if he's going to try it again with Sleep.
Yeah, I see that Chicago coach motioning to run it. Looks like Ragnarocker is going to try to get their box cleared.
Stevie taking advantage of the chaos and getting past their initial run through the pack, but Ragnarocker crawling off before they have a chance to score any points. Oh, they did score points.
I think that was, 4 points there to Toronto.
I'm still sleepy.
And that is a big 12-point jam for the Chicago Bruise brothers.
With a 4-point jam by Toronto. Toronto sits at 115, while Chicago sits at 178 with 20 minutes left in the half. Senior Wiener getting lead jammer status. The CVM penalty box cleared, while Ice Hurt tiptoes on the inside line to get out. Senior Winger taking advantage of the time that he has. And it looks like they're going to run it as well. Senior Wiener getting a hit on the outside line, but doing enough little twirls to make a ballerina jealous and staying in. We got a Toronto 1701 reporting to the CVM penalty box. Toronto picking up 10 points while Chicago picks up 8 points during that last jam, leaving Toronto to sit at 125 and Chicago sitting at 186 with 19 minutes left in this half.
Some nice work by iHod there on that jam, holding the Toronto Jammer to a 2-point differential there.
Looks like we've got a blocker from both teams in the CVM penalty box. Most of the pack sitting on the Derby Beast jam line with some nice tripod action going on. D-Ray finally getting out and pushing through, but being called off for a penalty and leaving Chicago's been hurt to have a power jam to take advantage of.
I believe that was a forearm called on D-Ray. Some nice offense there played by Up and Adam of Chicago, crashing that Toronto wall.
Anytime that Up and Adam and Sleep clash together, there's a nice breeze at the announcer table.
Ooh, and Ben Hurt is through. Another 4 points now going to Chicago on this jam.
D-Ray getting out of the penalty box and getting a nice initial pass through. But Ragnarok are calling off before D-Ray has a chance to score any points. Toronto picking up 0 points during that jam while Chicago picks up 11, leaving Toronto to sit at 125 and Chicago sitting at 197. We have 17 minutes left in this half. Currently, the CVM penalty box is cleared out. And we have Dijon and Smackaroni, it looks like, is setting up on the Derby Beast jam line.
Dijon really getting that pack moving, trying to cause a little chaos there. They're recycled back, however, and lead jammer is going to go to Ben Hurt. See our blockers setting up in turn one. Ben Hurt going for the big apex jump. Doesn't quite work out. Forced to reset all the way back. Dijon, star in hand, just trying to muscle their way up that inside line. Ooh, and Up and Adam, fresh out of the box, playing some nice offense for his jammer there.
And a nice star pass to Toronto's Dictator, getting quickly out of the pack. Smackaroni calling her off before they have a chance to score any points. We have Toronto sitting at 125 and Chicago picking up 4 points during that jam to place them at 201. We have 15 minutes remaining in this half. Currently, the CVM penalty box is cleared.
And the score update is brought to you by the Bluth Company. There's always money in the banana stand.
Ragnarocker and Stevie lining up on the Beast Derby Beast jam line. Sleep reporting to the CVM penalty box for
Oh.
a forearm, it looks like.
And Ragnarocker called off on a penalty as well, so that is going to be a power
Power
jam now
jam.
for Toronto.
I was going to try to harmonize with
He's
you.
getting a little punchy there at the top of the pack.
It's violent.
It's fine.
I'm scared. Ooh woo. Ooh, and white 217 being assessed for a cut track. Stevie still fighting their way through the pack. With Ragnarocker leaving the pack and engaging with the Toronto blockers.
Really nice work there by the Chicago blockers, killing that power jam. And, oh, that is a penalty now on Stevie. So this is going to be a power jam in favor of Chicago. And this jam will be running the full 2 minutes.
It was a track cut.
Oh.
That was a nice little jump, Akira. Little hop to the side.
Ooh, another 4-point pass there by Ragnarocker. Stevie out of the box, going to try to do a little damage mitigation.
Currently a Toronto blocker reporting to the CVM penalty box. And it looks like Stevie also has to report to the CVM penalty box. So that means Chicago will start off on a power jam. Looks like Ice Hurt is lining up on the Derby Beast jam line. Ice Hurt taking advantage of the power jam and getting lead jammer status. Their blockers doing a lot of work to get them out.
Another 4-point pass for Ice Hurt now with the CVM penalty box cleared out. And Stevie, star in hand, is out on their initial pass.
Ice Hurt calling it off before Stevie has a chance to pick up any points. Toronto picking up no points during that jam while Chicago picks up 6. Leaving Toronto to sit at 125 with Chicago sitting at 211. We have 11 minutes left in this period. Currently, the CVM penalty box is cleared with Senior Wiener and Ragnarocker, it looks like, on the Derby Beast jam line. Some split pack action going on.
Ooh,
Sleep got a nice hit on Ben Hurt, but it was assessed as a forearm, causing Sleep to go to the penalty box. And Ragnarocker taking advantage of it. Or Ben Hurt, excuse me. Getting lead jammer status and calling it off before Senior Wiener has a chance to score any points. That leaves Chicago picking up 4 points during that jam and Toronto picking up 0. Toronto sits at 125 with Chicago sitting at 215 with 10 minutes left in this period. Currently, there is one Toronto blocker in the CVM penalty box with Smackaroni lining up at the Derby Beach jam line and D-Ray for Toronto. Some penalties going off all over the place. Looks like White 8-8 reports to the box. Smackaroni picking up lead jam status. Currently, there's the white pivot and a blue blocker in the CVM penalty box.
Smackaroni taking advantage of that chaos in the pack, especially with those penalties coming and going. They are through for a 4-point scoring pass. And looks like that is also going to be a 4-point scoring pass going to D-Ray.
As I could see in the chat, I have some hometown shout-outs against me from Erectile Dysfunction. Yes, they made mistakes.
All right, that is another 4-point pass now for D-Ray. So Smackaroni decides to cut their losses and call that jam. So that is going to be a 7-point jam for Chicago. 8 points going to Toronto on that one. Some nice work by D-Ray putting on the gas despite not being lead. Score now 133 Toronto, 222 Chicago. Score update brought to you by the City of White Run. They used to be an adventurer like you. Then they took an arrow to the knee. All right, we've got Dijon jamming for Toronto and Ricky Ricochet donning the star for the first time this game for Chicago. Ooh, big hit out there on Ricky Ricochet. Contending with that Toronto tripod, getting some nice wall crashing offense there by their pivot. However, they are forced to recycle all the way back. Dijon now fighting up at the top. Just trying to get a little traction at that really solid Chicago wall.
Bosch being called for destruction and going to the CVM penalty box.
It's a brutal jam for our jammer friends. We are more than 1 minute into this jam with no lead called. The pack has made it as far as almost turn 2.
Ricky Ricochet doing a jump on the outside but not landing in the track. Still no lead jammer status for either jammer at this point.
Very slow moving pack here in turn 2. With Billy the Kid called off on a penalty, we're going to see if we can get some movement in this pack. We do, and that is going to be a star pass now to Fillmore Payne of Chicago, just to get things moving.
Successful star pass by Dijon, or Dijon de Bosch, making them jammer. But both teams are having some great awareness of where the pivot is and separating them.
That looked exhausting.
Neither jammer picking up any points during that jam. Toronto sits at 133 and Chicago sitting at 222. We have 6 minutes left remaining in this half. Looks like we got Ragnarocker jamming for Chicago. Picking up lead jam status. Stevie jamming for Toronto. Ragnarocker taking advantage of the chaos. We had a slide out happen, but it was teammate on teammate.
I blame Sport Court.
I don't think it's been that bad. I don't blame it. But then again, I'm like one who never changes their wheels, so.
I'm a wheel princess. I will always blame the Sport Court.
You could spend the money I don't have. Stevie picking up 4 points. With Ragnarok calling it off as lead jammer, it looks like both teams up. Toronto picks up 4 points, while Chicago picks up 7. Toronto sitting at 137, with Chicago sitting at 229, with 4 minutes left in this period.
It's been a fairly fast-moving game in terms of just keeping that game clock going. Not a lot of timeouts, no official reviews thus far. And we are going to have Senior Wiener now jamming against Ice Hurt from Chicago. Wiener hit back on the outside line, drawn by Twinkle Beef. Ice Hurt looking for a little daylight up in the front. They find it, but lead is
awarded to Ice Hurt.
It's going to Ice Hurt. So we've got our jammers in a race now. We'll see if Ice tries to run this jam.
Along with the CVM penalty box being cleared out. Everybody's back in action. Senior Wiener tried to call it off, but they didn't recognize that they didn't have lead jam status.
Yeah, I think Ice maybe didn't realize that they've had the lead on this one.
They were just like neck and neck.
Yeah. So with Wiener now on their second scoring pass, we'll see how Ice wants to play this one out. Maybe clear out that penalty box.
I don't even know if they know that they're a lead jammer. CVM penalty box cleared out. Senior Wiener picking up 4 more points. Ice calling it off before Senior Wiener has another chance to hit the pack. We got a timeout called out for Chicago, and that timeout is sponsored by the Toy Division, an inclusive store and community for anyone who loves toys, video games, collectibles, and everything in between. Make sure you follow Toy Division on IG to find their next show appearance. With the timeout, we sit with Toronto at 145, Chicago sitting at 233. We have 3 minutes left in this period.
This score update brought to you by Vault Tech. Surface never, vault forever.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
I feel safer already.
Lining up on the Derby Beast jam line. We got Ben Hurt for Chicago and D-Ray for Toronto. Some split pack action going on. D-Ray picking up lead jammer status. Ben Hurt still fighting their way through the pack. D-Ray confusing the sport for baseball and doing a slide out, but ends up getting a forearm for what I think was assessed and going to the box as a jammer, leading a power jam for Chicago, and it will be a full 2-minute jam. A little hop, scoop, and a jump from Ben Hurt to score 4 points. D-Ray back in action and going against the blockers from Chicago in the back, while Ben Hurt fights the front. Sleep being assessed for a track cut. D-Ray fighting through the middle of the chaos.
Ooh, D-Ray doing a nice job of getting that pack running. Pushes on through for another 4 points. Ooh. D-Ray gets a little hit in on Ben Hur on that outside straightaway. Right at the end of that jam. And looks like we are going to have another Toy Division timeout called by Toronto Roller Derby.
With that, go ahead.
That is Toy Division for all of your nostalgia-based toy needs. You want Star Wars? We got your hookup. You want Beanie Babies? We got your hookup. You want Transformers? My God, do we have your hookup. Check out Toy Division on all of their socials or at toydivisionsTL.com.
Going to that timeout, we got Toronto sitting at 153 with Chicago at 245 with 57 seconds left in this period. What I do believe I thought I saw was that there might have been not an expulsion, but a foul out done by Spencer Sleep. We got 2 Toronto blockers in the CVM penalty box, along with a blocker from Chicago. D-Ray lining up on the Derby Beach Jam line as the jammer, along with Smackaroni from Chicago.
Oh, and that is going to be a penalty assessed to Smackaroni. Just after they take lead, D-Ray is now out on their initial pass, but this will be a full 2-minute jam.
This will be the last jam of the game.
Ooh. And with only 4 blockers on the track for that apex jump, D-Ray clears it easily. Coming through on their second scoring pass now. Skates on by, another 4 points for Toronto.
In the chat, somebody's asking about a foul out. Yes, we had Spencer Sleep from Toronto foul out. And no, Cole, I will not be singing Big Girls Don't Cry.
All right, so that is the end of that jam, and unofficially, that is the end of that game. 15 more points now on the board put up by Toronto, so that is going to put our